All right. Well, welcome back to part two of two. We're
But I
determined.
didn't finish that.
What is it?
Okay, we're good now. Got to get the commercial reads in, Lou, on our breaks.
I was thinking that during the last part, you had said like, well, since I started 21 and 0, I've only done this. But I was thinking like that's kind of like saying like, well, if Shaq wasn't 7 feet tall, he wouldn't have such a high field goal percentage or something, like so. I don't know. The point is that you did start 21 and 0, which is a hell of a start. It doesn't discount anything else.
So it's a great start. It just means that I'm 19 and 17 since my 21 and 0 start. So
Is that true? Yeah.
I'm 40 and 17. So I'm just saying, if you take the 21 games out, I've been playing, pretty scratch. So I'm just saying hey, yeah, I'm still in first, so probably I got the best team, but it does look human, is all I'm saying.
Right. Right. I think if you hadn't won 3 years in a row leading up to this year, then maybe we'd be looking for they're coming back to the pack. But I think because it's you, people aren't thinking like that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't want to put too much pressure on you to live up to the
Oh.
standard that we all are holding you to. But
No, I mean, if you're saying I crushed everyone's spirits, then I guess my job's done here.
I think everybody wants to win, but I also think like because I've had years where I'm like, man, if I could just like move up, I could finish in fifth. Like I think you just want to do as well as you can do. Or not finish in last or something, which I did one year, and I don't even think I came close to coming out of the basement. But you're always shooting for something. At least I am. If I can come in eighth instead of 10th, that's what I want. So yeah.
Well, I know that feeling. I couldn't get over the Larkin hump forever, and it was just like, man, yeah, we were just like, well, I did my best, did my
Yeah.
best, and that's cool, So all good things come to an end. But anyway, where were we at? Standings? No, we were doing we did the butter, we did the pitching, we
I
did
was
the
gonna look at
hitting.
the. I was gonna look at some players, so I'll share this one. Um,
Well, I want to thank you for the break too. I picked up a, a call up for the Padres. Mazer is going to pitch for him tomorrow.
yeah, I think I
So
saw
on the
that on,
break,
on the network.
I use my time well.
I picked Waldron back up. So
I like that he's throwing the knuckleball. It's just fun.
yeah, I don't know, but I think he must have done well in the minors, um, because he's like a young guy, but my numbers are pointing to him. Same with that Saccone guy, whatever, on Arizona. He must have had good minor league numbers, which isn't, minor league numbers are, you wouldn't want to base their entire future on how they did in the minors. There's like a lot of
Yeah,
stuff there that,
but if you're Arizona doing well in the minors, they got some high. Their ballparks are up there. So if you look good in Double A, Triple A for Arizona, take notice because their parks are in like super high altitude.
the
I
stuff
don't
I
know
look
where,
at
but
is like the equivalencies. So they would adjust down to that, but anyways, I don't know.
yeah, that guy is I don't remember if he goes by Slade or Slade. I hope it's Slade, Ciccone or whatever his name is. But I like
Yeah,
the first name either
yeah,
way.
I had him for a few starts earlier in the year, and I dropped him. I was thinking today I had a couple more pitchers go in the IL, Waka and Yu Darvish, but it's not like I'm worried about it. It's kind of nice when you don't have these top guys, because the guys that I'm putting in for them, I don't even feel it's much of a drop. I don't know. Maybe Darvish, if you thought he had a lot of upside, which I don't. I think he's past that time.
Yeah.
But like Waka, I was just happy what I could get from Waka, and like even this guy Tyler Anderson, like I was like thinking of dropping him, not too long ago. I mean, I bet you he
Right?
still could be dropped. Who knows if all these guys get healthy? So I don't know. It's kind of nice when you have when that level of player gets hurt. You know, like when you have Aaron Judge and he gets hurt. Well, that's you can't
Yeah.
replace that.
No, it's a good point. When you have those like $100 players or Acuna goes down or something, you're really kind of like, okay, my season's a little hurting here.
Well, look
Um,
at the top two hitters are Soto and Judge now, and Bobby Witt's third. And I think last week he was number one. And I happened to see this on MLB Network a few hours ago that the number one and number two hitters in, see if I can remember them all, xWOBA, exit velocity, hard hit percentage, and barrel percentage. The same two guys are one and two in MLB, and they are Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Aaron Judge is in number one in all four of those, and Juan Soto is number two in all four of those.
it's crazy.
That's just nuts because usually that stuff, like you
Are
get somebody mixed up in there that you'd be surprised at, and it's just like, holy cow, they're one and two.
So are you sitting all any pitcher if they face the Yankees? If you had a starter going against the Yankees, if
I don't, but I
they
know
pick,
I understand that maybe I should, but I know like Kimmler probably would think about that, right? But I don't.
yeah,
I just wing it, and I don't know. The times that I've just let it go, let him pitch in Colorado, let him pitch against the Yankees or whatever, I usually haven't been burned by it like you'd think, you know. So, but I don't I don't deny that maybe I should think about that more, you know, but I just don't. I don't know.
yeah, no, I think sometimes it's running from a challenge. It's like these guys are, they got to face them in the playoffs. Guys have great starts in the playoffs against great lineups. You know, good. I'll take good pitching over good hitting any day. So I'm with you on that.
Well, in my case, it'd be mediocre pitching against good hitting, so it is scary. But
Well,
I don't know. I I'm not making a statement like that's overrated. I just don't happen to do it. So I don't know.
yeah,
So we'll see.
but that's crazy, man. That's crazy. And Tucker's having a season. That was a good trade last year, even though he gave up an arm and a leg to get him. But he gave up Gunnar Henderson as part of that deal, and he's right behind him.
Yeah, look at these guys. Jose Ramirez is still, you know, still producing. Mookie Betts, and then William Contreras, who, you know, Sean was saying you could really make a case for, at least in the beer league, as being the MVP of the league. I don't, you know, Steph Lugo would have something to say for that for that too, you know.
Yeah,
But
no, he could be kind of an MVP because he's playing every day, a catcher or DHing. That's a big advantage. Like him versus like Contreras versus the second best catcher versus Juan Soto versus the second best right fielder, Aaron Judge, is 3 points. Whereas Contreras is how many points ahead of the next catcher? So
yeah, actually, I had to add those catchers in at the bottom because none of them were in the top 25 except for Contreras. So
yeah, I got Schwarbs, and that's about it, man. Schwarbs is holding my whole offense together.
yeah, what do you got? You got
That's
Schwarber, and
it.
you don't have anybody else down here?
Oh,
Maybe
probably somebody. Teoscar. Yeah, yeah.
Oscar. So these are the catchers I added in: Salvador Perez and a couple of gags. I had to get these guys in because they're lollygaggers. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna have four catchers because two of them are mine.
Right.
Actually, I think
Still like,
the next guy might have been Langolier. So I wasn't just trying to prop myself up in the podcast.
well, like in a vacuum, what would you rather have? 37 more points out of your catcher or like 3 more points out of your right fielder? So, I mean, I could see the argument for having the best catcher, especially when he's playing every day like the way Contreras is.
I know. I mean, a lot of people have done well with having very modestly priced catchers, right? I think Cal Raleigh last year. I think Let's Play had him. Is that if I'm right? He's on your team now, I
Yeah,
think.
let's play at him. Yeah.
And
He was on my team, and then I just traded him to the Cows. Got Reese Hoskins.
oh, okay. And
Flipped him around because my so I got a guy off the IL. So
So like Langoliers this year, he's my $1 catcher. That's what some. And I remember he wasn't even my top choice. What did you get Jeffers for? He was very little money,
yeah,
right?
Jeffers is like $3 or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like $3 guy or something. Jeffers,
yeah, I like
he's a
Jeffers
song.
too.
He got lucky on that one. I mean, I knew he was good, but I just didn't think I thought he'd be getting 50 to 6% of the playing time. But he's like the only guy they don't platoon in Minnesota.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
He's
I
in
mean,
there all the time.
I would have been worried about that too, but I like Jeffers. Seems like catchers is just like the only thing I really have a feel for. It's kind of like tight ends in fantasy football or something. I like those guys that are they don't get as many points as the other guys, but they're valuable. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I must like that in some way. Catchers and tight ends, they're tough guys, right? They play offense, but they're tough guys. They're playing defense too. I mean, they're blocking and you know,
can relate to him.
yeah.
You think?
Not as a guy, but as a fan, I guess.
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
wasn't a
Right.
big tough guy.
Yeah. You like they're the mutters. They're the grinders.
Yeah.
They're out there every day doing their job.
And then pitching wise, Lugo is still 5 points ahead of the top hitter. I think I talked about this last week that I may have overshot a little bit on the wins and quality starts, but we'll see. This might actually just shake out just fine because you'd expect, like Judge, for instance, if anything, if he stays healthy, he'll probably outdo his current pace, right? Because he had such a slow start for him, and he's
Yeah.
just come on like
Yeah.
gangbusters.
He was getting booed in the Bronx a month ago.
That's nuts. They're
It's nuts. It's
nuts.
stupid.
I just
Yeah.
happened to see his pull splits because he's I sorted alphabetically by first name, and so he just happened to be up at the top. And I noticed that he doesn't pull the ball. He pulls the ball less than the average hitter does. So that it made me realize like
No. Yeah. He doesn't need to.
he doesn't. It doesn't matter what the porch is or where he's playing. Even if he was in like Baltimore or something, like it. He hits his home runs. It doesn't really matter where he is. And and also that showed me that he goes to the opposite field. He goes to center field. He's never going to be the guy that's going to hit for like a terribly low average either. You know, um,
In front of the plate to pull it. He can wait on it a little bit. He can wait a bit.
yeah. So he's as good as it gets. I mean, I guess if I had to pick one, I would have said
Still,
Soto is the best young hitter. I might have had Jordan Alvarez in there before the year started, but it's hard to go against Judge too. I mean, he's just and he plays a decent outfield. He's a good right fielder. He's a good center fielder. I mean, it's just crazy, right? I
yeah,
mean,
he's a great player, man. He's a
yeah.
great player. Hey, well, we're when you brought up the starting pitchers, well, we had a break. I looked up the ERA so far this year versus just for starters. Last year, starters through June 1st were at a 4.45 ERA. This year, they're at a 3.98 ERA. So
You know,
starters only are like half a run less.
yeah, I noticed last year that the
And I
difference.
looked up the other stuff. The Quicks are up 3.6% versus like just the same time period. I didn't want to deal with the hot or cold month stuff.
Well, that's
And
good.
then
That's good. Yeah.
the last one I looked up was the inning pitch, which I think I already mentioned. They're going 0.11 innings more.
Okay, so
So they're
five
going
point
like
two or
a
something.
third of a batter more.
Yeah.
5.3 versus 5.2.
Yeah.
5.31 versus 5.2. Yeah.
I think last year it might have been 5.1. Oh, you said through this date it was
Yeah,
5.2.
I just did it
Yeah.
through this date just to make it even.
Oh, that's a
Because
better.
yeah,
That's a,
obviously it does go down when it gets hotter weather and guys
yeah,
are
it's
hitting
better.
better
It's better to do that. You did the better sample.
and more kids. I figured I'd use my 10 minutes wisely.
I did notice that the starting pitching ERA and the relief pitcher ERA last year was there was a difference by I don't know, I can't remember, like 0.3 runs, something like that for the year. And
Yeah.
this year they're like identical so far. Like they're about the same. There's no difference between the relief pitcher ERA and the starting pitching ERA. So it's interesting that starters are faring so much better. Of course, the year that I aggressively put in this quality start win thing. But like I said, by the end of the year, you know, I think if you're going to
I'll go
put
down.
Seth Lugo, Ranger Suarez, Tanner Houck against Soto, Judge, and Bobby Witt, you're going to probably choose the hitter, right? You know, they're only a few points behind right now. So, well, actually, what
Yeah.
Judge is actually ahead of everybody except Lugo. So we'll see. I know how it shakes out, but it seems like it'll probably be okay. But if it stayed like this, I would put wins down to 4. And if I still needed to do something, I would put quality starts down to 3. And then I don't think I would do anything less than that because I can't justify having a quality start being half as much as a win or something like that. And I don't want a win
Yeah.
to be less than a save. So, but I might
I
not have
mean,
to do
wins were
anything.
7 last year for a win, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you wouldn't want to go below 7 for a win and quality start combined below 7. That would be rough.
Yeah. That's only if like this stuff stayed the same. And it's, you know, I mean, I guess you're hoping that Lugo stays right up here, but it probably won't
Probably won't happen.
happen.
That yeah, put your money in Vegas. Lugo not being on the top of that list at the end of the year and
Well,
not
look at
ahead
this:
of Soto or
Lugo,
Judge.
Ranger Suarez for Bake, Tanner Houck for Let's Play. Zach Wheeler is fourth. He's like the only guy that you would have like thought would be in the top 5 or something.
And
And
Lou, I don't know if this is depressing or not, but I got to run down this list and tell you. So Tanner Houck is who I traded for
Raleigh,
the Cal Raleigh, right?
yeah,
So I had him to start the year, but I flipped him and got Raleigh, and then Zach Wheeler I traded before the auction over to Bazzardi because I was like I can't keep all these guys, so I had flipped him out as well. So I really was on the quality start guys last year.
jeez. Who did you who
I
did you
was trying
get
to
in the
get ahead of the
Wheeler deal?
game. The Wheeler, oh man, I sent him Wheeler and Scherzer and JD Martinez, and I got back. Oh, I didn't even get anybody all that great. It was just I just like needed to clear the room and get an X guy or something. I'll have to look that one up, man. I don't even remember who it was now.
Yeah, you'd think
I'll
I
tell you in a
would
minute.
remember these things better, but I really don't. Once they're done, they're kind of like I can't remember them at all.
Yeah, I don't
But
blame you on it.
Derek
It's
Scooble, he's up here. I know if you were a deep diver, you could have expected this maybe, but that would have been a stretch. Burns, Nola, Barrios, Luis Castillo. So some of these names are, Logan Webb. You would have expected Tyler Glass now. This guy, Luis
it's
Gil, I guess he won Pitcher of the Month in May and Rookie of the Month too. So it doesn't happen
yeah,
too often, but he won both.
he's dealing for Normie's cows and for his Yankees.
Yeah.
He's got the double dip. I was thinking about that. There's those guys that start off and they always end up in like the All-Star game and they're kind of bums. There was a Cardinals pitcher who was lousy, but they've had a couple of them, in fact. I think he was on the Cubs too, but he was something like, 1.5 ERA and like 12-0 at like the All-Star game a few years back. And those guys, they just come down to earth. The guys that are dodging bullets like Seth Lugo, you know, pitch the contact guys. They don't last.
I mean, not that you're going to drop him anyway, but Lugo, I was really struck by my numbers that I do. Like, there was a big difference between I do two things. I do points, their actual points, and then I do my Lou formula points, like how many he should have. And he's like, there's a big difference between the two with Lugo, as I guess you would expect, even as Lugo's owner. I mean, two explanations possible, right? I mean, like it could be, well, he's really lucky and he's going to climb, or he's the kind of pitcher that uh, is better than his underlying numbers. So it's probably somewhere combo of those two things.
Yeah, I think so. I looked that up, Lou. That trade was Scherzer, JD Martinez, and Wheeler for Mike Trout's matching or Mike Trout.
Okay.
So I got Trout back. It was killing me. I was like, what did I trade? What did I trade all these guys for? Yeah, because I was like, it was just too many guys and they were gonna get poached and stuff. So I thought, you know what? Might as well get something for him.
I think back in April, Doug was on. He had said that Trout went for 94, but when I looked at it afterwards, that's what he could have been kept at. You didn't keep him at 94. You got him at
Yeah, I
Donkey
didn't
at
keep it at
60.
94. Yeah, it's 60 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big difference there. And here's the
And
closers. I actually sorted them by their save and hold points, not their total points. That's why these aren't in order here. But you got
it
Robert
is the thing now
Suarez.
with this the Ghost Runner, man. You get more wins out of your closer than you used to with these Ghost Runners.
You pointed it out last year that because my stuff was doing wins per a certain amount of innings, like 18 innings on average, you get a win. But you were right. I looked at it, and maybe it wasn't even evident if you compared relief pitchers to starting pitchers. But if you compared these high leverage end of the game guys, they were getting wins in fewer innings. You know, like it was like maybe like 13 innings as opposed to 18. You know, so they're getting more wins per inning pitched, and that's something I never really looked at. I just glommed them all together.
Yeah, they throw their good guys right there in the 10th, Like they figure the game's not going to go, 20 innings or whatever. So they're just putting their fireman if they haven't used them or their closer right away, you know, do it.
But these guys are interesting. I mean, obviously you had to pay for Class A. I don't know what Holmes went for, but I'm sure he went for something. But some of these guys, like Robert Suarez, he's definitely a dollar guy, right? if
Yeah,
he
everybody
even
was thinking all the Japanese or Korean guys they signed were going to get it, and I was like, why wouldn't they sign Suarez for a bunch of money too? Why wouldn't they put him in? He's already been on the team.
and Finnegan is still he's this is over a third of the way through the season. I think we're 37% now, and he's still here. And
Yeah,
I wasn't even confident he would keep that job, and he's still
everybody
doing
was
it.
talking about Hunter Harvey.
Yeah, yeah, and Washington is. I mean, they're not going great guns, but I mean they're ahead of the Mets in the standings. They're in third.
Are they? I was about to ask you. They're ahead of the Mets.
Yeah, they're like four
Hmm.
under 500. The Mets are like 10 under. I don't know. The Mets were winning. I think it was 8-5 when I stopped watching tonight. The Mets are fun because going in with the lead going into the ninth, I don't think they're going to win. I mean, they might win.
So so
It's like
different than 2 years ago with Tommy Trumpet or whatever his name
yeah.
is. Yeah, it's crazy. A guy takes the time off. You need your Achilles when you pitch too. People were like, "Oh no," but I thought no big deal. Oh, he had a whole year off for his shoulder and his elbow. That'll be great for him. But you
You
can't
talking about
push it off, or
Diaz?
you losing. Yeah, Diaz. I was
Was it
thinking it'd be good for him because he had a year to
it was
rest
his
his arm.
knee though, wasn't it? Or was it his Achilles?
Oh, I don't know why I thought it was his Achilles. I mean, you're the Mets fan. You would,
I don't know, but I mean,
I defer to your knowledge
I
on
might
it.
not be right. I don't remember,
Yeah.
but I did see this that since May 1st, the Mets have lost 6 games that they were leading going into the ninth. Or it might have been going into the eighth. I should qualify that, but it was one of the two. They've lost 6 games. The next closest major league team since May 1st has lost 2 of those kind of games. So
Is Ottavino a head
you've
case?
got
Can he just not close?
you've got 29 teams that have lost 2 or fewer leads like that, and the Mets have lost 6 since May 1st. I mean, it's just nuts. Like now, when they're up by a run going into the ninth, I'm not like I'm not like pouring the champagne. I mean, and
Nothing kills a
I
team's
expect they're going to
morale.
lose.
Nothing kills a team's morale more than like blowing leads in the ninth, man. It's just like it's. I know it's an intangible thing, and like in numbers, you shouldn't matter, but you blow too many leads in a ninth, more than you should, and it really breaks the heart of the team. I think. But you're right about Diaz. It was his right knee tore a tendon in it.
Just jumping around and celebrating. It wasn't even going nuts. It wasn't like the team piled on. It's just like it's just crazy.
Never celebrate. Never hustle, never celebrate.
Yeah, who was that guy in
Just
the
walk
Angels?
slowly back into your plastic box and we'll seal you up for the next game.
Is it Kendrys
Don't open your own
Morales?
cans of tomatoes.
Is it
What's
Kendrys
that?
Morales for the Angels that got injured early in the year during a home run
Yeah.
celebration? And he was never
Jumping
the
on
same
home
after that.
plate.
he was never the same after that. I don't know if it's just because of
No,
that, but he was done.
that was
That was it.
that was the highlight of his career. And when he landed, it was the low light, and it never got any better. Yeah, he wasn't very good when he came back.
I'm always like when they do those walk off hit celebrations where they're chasing the guy from first to second. I'm like, just leave him alone. They're like, stop. Like I don't want to see
Right.
this again. I don't want somebody to get hurt.
Stop jumping up and down.
Didn't
They
wasn't
need
it
they need a
Bellinger?
bubble wrap celebration where they just wrap the guy in bubble wrap and
Yeah,
carry him off,
yeah.
you know.
Wasn't it Bellinger that hurt his arm during a home run celebration? He like did like a forearm bump or something with somebody and
Yeah. And he was
or
hurting for and that was like then he had 2 bad years after that. Crazy. I don't know. This is a classic beer league podcast topic. We always end up not always, we usually end up talking about weird injuries at some point
oh yeah.
during a few of the podcasts because it's hilarious. It's crazy. I mean, they got lives. Guys get hurt. They're doing stuff. Opening cans, you know, playing in the swimming pool, whatever.
Chris Sale was just bike riding, wasn't he? Not this year,
That guy.
Sean. You can relax.
Yeah,
As if Sean would ever watch this, but
right, exactly.
was it 2
Uh
years ago? Maybe just last year. I
uh
can't remember.
yeah, yeah, no, I thought it was when he was coming back last year, but maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't know. Sales seems to be a good fit in Atlanta, but they're not hidden in Atlanta. It's kind of weird.
I think like when you're deciding like whether to take a flyer on somebody who's like been successful before but he's been injured, it depends like which team signs him. So if Sale went to the Mets, you'd be like, he's done. But when he goes to the Braves, you're like, he might, I could take a flyer on him.
So,
I mean,
and the guy I'm kind of kicking myself for not mentioning to you, not that I'm sure he was on your radar, but when we talked before your AL only draft, was Cowboy, Jose Caballero, because he was the one guy I was like, hey, Tampa Bay went to get him. They need a shortstop. He proved that he could do it in the last year. Like, look at Joe Cowboy, Jose Caballero. And he's not a beer league guy. He keeps going on and off waivers because he's not, he doesn't walk enough. He doesn't have enough power for our league. But yeah, Jose Caballero is one of those guys because Tampa Bay picked him up. And Tampa Bay's smart.
yeah, I mean, well, it's so different. I mean, like we've talked about in the beer league, you want you don't even want a guy that's a lefty hitter platooning. I think you want a starter. I mean, I'm sure you could if you stream a guy. Obviously, these guys, you can take anybody, but as a buy and hold, you don't want anybody who's platooning at all. And certainly, if you're going to do that, it would be a lefty hitter. But in the Roto League,
Yeah, like I
it's
think the best. Who's down in Arizona right now? He used to be on the Dodgers. I think he was on the
Jock
Giants
Peterson.
last year. Yeah, but he's the one guy. He's probably the only guy in the league that I would probably that I if I had the space roster, just because he's hitting so good, and
I wanted the
but
Mets
he
to get
just
him so long ago. It was long enough ago where I wanted them to trade Matt Harvey for Peterson because if you don't depend on him as an everyday player, he's very productive, and he still is. I think his OPS this year is over 900, or maybe it's just on his advantageous matchup. But I mean, like if you use him like that, which I think that Arizona is, they're using him exclusively that way, and he's very productive, and it's you could set your team up. I know I complain about it, like Minnesota has so much platooning. I don't. I mean that as I'm complaining as a fantasy player. I'm not complaining as a real life fan. I think it's a good way to set things up. Like platoon as many spots as you can. You keep everybody fresh. You're getting the advantage. On your batter pitcher matchups. Even though I do think, see, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I do think that the lefty righty thing is a little bit overrated. Like I would hate to see a guy sit a good hitter because of the lefty righty thing.
yeah, it makes a difference though, man. I mean, it's
But Peterson is very productive, and he's been that way. He's been the same guy for years, and I've always liked him.
I mean, even when you look at the best hitters, they still even have platoon splits. I mean, they're amazing. Like Bryce Harper will hit like have a, like an 1100 OPS versus opposite-handed guys. It's just that he's still against same-handed guys. He's still got like an 850 or something. So you'd still rather have him up, but it's just because they're so good. But they still have really bad platoon splits. Um, I mean I've found like it's pretty rare. Like it's just the angle and everything. It's just none of it all lines up, and getting hit by the pitch, being able to see it longer. It just makes sense to
I
the
think it's
opposite-handed hitter,
mostly
you know.
it's most extreme with the lefty lefty matchup because
Yeah, because the lefties
righties
never
have
see
to be used to
lefties, so
seeing righty pitchers because you see them 70% of the time, so it's the
yeah,
lefty lefty thing. But if you look at major league splits, at least the last time I looked, and it might have been 10 years ago last time I looked, so I apologize. But I remember thinking like, oh, it's not really as dramatic as you would think. So like I remember when, so I don't remember the hitter, but it was when Dusty Baker was managing, and he put in Sammy Solis to face. Oh, I can't remember now. But all they
Sammy
did was
Solis.
all they did was pinch hit, and then I don't know. It just. I remember thinking like, geez, Dusty just doesn't see more than one move ahead, because I remember instead of having Scherzer pitching, I think it was like he had Sammy Solis. It was a playoff game, and I don't know. Dusty's very well regarded, but I I don't think he was the best chess player in the game. So
No, he's great. Great at managing the clubhouse, I think,
yeah,
but an in-game manager, not so much. You know, not
because I
so
remember
much at
all he
all.
did was like he actually had Sammy Solis pitching that situation instead of Scherzer, if I'm remembering it right. But there's been tons of instances, even guys that are considered great managers like Madden, and Madden when he brought Lester in cold and he threw a wild pitch. Remember, like there's
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean they all make mistakes, you know, but yeah, it's yeah. That I mean, Madden towards the end there was going a little mad crazy. He didn't get Larusa, but by the end he was doing some moves that were a little like out over his skis, you know.
I think that was like
Like bad for team morale
Hendricks was
too.
pitching a good game, and he hadn't tired yet. Even though with Hendricks, I think it was Hendricks. I apologize if I have this all wrong, but he wasn't tiring yet. I wonder like why you don't like wait to see evidence of it first, and then have a quick hook. Because like
Yeah, although
every time you bring a guy in cold, you don't really know what you're getting that day, right? I mean, you don't it
yeah,
could be bad.
yeah, you don't know. He might not. He might have really good stuff in the bullpen and then be wild when he comes in too and walk the next couple of guys or just groove one. I mean, I know the Rays do this now for sure in some other teams, but I don't think back when the Cubs were in the World Series run, I don't know if it was a thing yet, where they're monitoring the arm slot during the game and also the pitch speed. If they see a guy starting to like drop their arm slot or whatever, they'll take him out even though their results are good because
So that
it's a precursor to injury,
that's
but
something that
also because they
I'm not going to pick up on when I'm watching. I mean, I'm not going to be able to
no
tell the
no and
difference
but I
between a
think
mile or two.
no, I think their analysts are looking at it during the game though
Yeah.
and telling them, hey, he's dropping his elbow, you know. I'm not going to pick it up either. I mean, I'm not pitching ninja over here. I'm not going to see this stuff. Hey, have you did you I know everyone was talking about bat speed a few weeks ago and stuff, but the one that I thought was interesting, I don't know if we picked it up or not on the podcast, was that thing where it's like the biggest misses, like the missing the ball by the most distance. That one
No, I
came
haven't
out
seen that.
like it's a Statcast thing, but it's on the very start. It was in the very start of the season. So I forget what they call it. I can't remember the name now, but it's like the biggest whiff. So it's like, oh, he missed it by 3.5 feet, you know. And it's usually like not the guys you would think. It's some guy, some reliever comes in and he's just guessing. He's sitting fastball and he throws them, like something that's like 15 miles per hour off on a slider, and the guy just he's geared up for it, and then he just swings out of his shoes. It's usually something like that. It's not the guys that you would think. It's always some like seventh inning man that were top of the list, but still, it's like it's weird for MLB to like publish it. I mean, I guess it's great for the pitcher, embarrassing for the hitter, but
But I think that's like why I've been hesitant to look at some of these stats or base anything on like these average stats, like average exit velocity and stuff. Like I don't think you
yeah,
really care about the average. I can illustrate it this way, and it's like, and it's better. Like if you look at average launch angle, that's a terrible thing to look at, right? Because you could have you know uh, a pop up and then a ball
right.
hitting the
And a ground
dirt,
ball, mate. It looks like you're hitting
and
liners
then
all
you
day,
average it
right?
out, and it's a line drive. So you can't some of this stuff, like even stuff that's not so bad to look at, but like you were complaining about maybe even last year, I think was like BABIP, how it doesn't include homers, because it's all about the balls in play and the homers not in play. But if you combine these stats without understanding where each one is coming from, you're going to be misled. Like if you look at hard hit percentage and then look at a
Yeah.
guy's BABIP, let's say he has a high BABIP, but he's got a great high hard hit percentage. You're going to be like, well, it's justified because he hits the ball hard. But actually, what I've looked at is that hard hit percentage with BABIP is it's slightly positive, but it's mostly like kind of neutral. But it's because those hard hits are homers, and like they're not being counted in the balls in play. It's like you have to
Yeah,
if you
that's
want
why
something.
that's why I get why people don't put home runs in BABIP. I understand the whole idea of concept of it's not a ball in play, but I hate it because it makes all the other stats look confusing. Like
Yeah, you have
guy
to
looks
know that.
like
You
it
have
looks
to
like he's
understand that
because he hits everything over. He hits 50 over the fence, and so that's gonna those are 50 off the sample
if
size,
they did
and so
hard
it's
hit
gonna
percentage on balls in play, that would be very helpful to me personally.
right.
But I haven't found that yet. But
The
that would
one
help
I do
because
like, if you notice this year, Statcast is doing uh 50% exit velocity for both hitters and pitchers. So it's just for hitters, for pitchers, it's like the lowest they split it, into like percentages. So it's like they only take the half that are like the lowest balls hit against them. And for hitters, they only take their top half of balls hit. So it's their top 50%. That number correlates pretty good. I've ran that
yeah,
in,
I bet you that would be
and that
better
correlates pretty good.
than averaging it all out.
Yeah, that one. Well, that makes sense because it gets rid of all those weak hits, for the hitter. So you're only talking about their good hits. So like when you hit it good, how hard do you hit it? I like that one, or the 90 percentile one. But just like knowing max exit velocity or average, I don't know. It doesn't. I guess max is good to know that they can hit it that hard once. But there's plenty of guys up there that stink that have high max EVs. You
Yeah, so
know.
I'm still not there. There's like three levels of this. I go to the second level. I don't go to the third level.
Yeah.
First level will just be like results at face value. Second looks a little bit behind it. Third is like just looking even behind that, like at skills and like bat speed and things. I think those things are fun to look at, but I don't incorporate them. I mean, I'm sure that bat X guy could do it, but I don't do that.
Right.
Hey,
You
we're
know,
we're
an old
under
fashioned
we're under
stat
a minute.
that I
So why don't you finish up?
Okay,
We're under
real
a
quick.
minute.
Here's my old fashioned stat that I want to research. And I think there's a way to do it on Fangraphs. Somebody was talking about. I think Ryan Bloomfield. It's your ball percentage. It's just how many balls you throw as a pitcher, and it just tells you so much. Is he hitting the strike zone or not? It's simple. How many balls do you throw per pitch?
I've
How
seen
often
that.
are they called a
I've
ball?
seen that.
And it's not listed anywhere. You can figure it out on it if you dig into Statcast stuff. I mean, into Fangraphs, but I haven't done it yet. But it makes so much sense, right? You
But
want the guys that aren't throwing.
I wouldn't want to penalize a guy that is working around a hitter without walking him. You know.
That's an exception.
Mm. But I've
I think
seen that
most
it
of if
correlates very well, ball percentage and going forward his walk percentage, things like that. Hey, we're like under